Okay, Ray Hawthorne, thank you for joining me today on this value session. I've only done like a handful of these, so I'm just still kind of figuring out the flow. And usually about 15 to 20 minutes, we have 13 V's. We have our values, and they are so important to me. It's how I live my life. And I want to kind of understand from your perspective the value that you picked, why it resonated with you. First and foremost, pop punk musician, Ray Hawthorne. You just dropped a new single called I Tried. It's, according to your PR, kind of a moment of confession for you as an artist. You're getting a little bit deeper and whatnot. The song is the sixth of the I Tried era, focuses on the weight of being deep in addiction and then deciding that trying, even if it's just poorly, is still like the right thing to do. Does that sound right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Cool.
that's super accurate. And
Welcome.
thanks, man. Yeah, I've made a lot of mention in my music to being sober and the struggle that I had to be sober over the last couple years. Um I am 9 years sober now, and there was a point in my life where it just seemed like a very impossible thing to
Mhm.
do. And it was just sort of once I was able to finally break through that and start being honest about how I need to move forward in the world, that's sort of when things started to fall into place for me.
Sick. I mean, that
Best way
that
to put it.
ties in so. Sorry, buddy. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying that's just like the best way I could put it. You know, it's there's a lot of nuance to it, but in a broad stroke, like that's it. you know.
And that's perfect, and it ties in so perfectly to the value that you chose, which is veritas, truth, right? So it sounds like for you, you had a moment where you felt like the only way to deal with this is honestly. I have to be honest with myself, both
Yeah.
internally and externally, and then boom, the path changed. Is that accurate?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I I the name of the song, I guess, that just came out is called "I Tried," and so it's basically what I'm going to say right now is like back then, I tried many times and failed um, to get sober, and there's sort of this weird situation where you feel like you know that effort. At least you're not just like taking it lying down, at least you're like aware that you have a problem and you're trying, but you just can't break through. um and that's like a really difficult place to be, but it's also like there's this false sense of comfort in it, that you're just like, man, like if I go down, I'm gonna go down swinging, like I
Hmm.
keep saying I'm gonna get sober, it's not working, but I'm fucking trying out here. you know um and yeah, like, so that song in particular is probably the most upfront and honest I've been about that. And I'd find it like pretty valuable in all of my songs to just be really, really aggressively authentic and really, really aggressively honest. And once I started doing that, I noticed that's when people actually cared about what I had to say. Um, you
Yeah.
know, every day I get people to reach out to me that are telling me that, the things I'm saying and the things I'm singing are resonating with them and helping them through stuff, whether it's their own sobriety or a breakup or something like that. Cause also I really try not to be too on the nose and too like preachy about like, you need to be sober. Like I'm just telling stories about my experience. And there's a lot of
Hmm.
people that like don't even know that I'm a sober guy because like the songs really just are from a perspective of struggle, and
Yeah.
that can be relatable in a lot of ways. So that's the majority of what people reach out to me is that, these songs are just like helping them with things that they're struggling with. But I
Yeah.
I do love when people reach out about their sobriety, helping with their sobriety though.
Well, you said something really cool there, that like sobriety is it's a word that comes with misconception, because for me, the way I've lived, as soon as I hear the word sobriety, I immediately think alcohol.
Yeah,
But that's
yeah.
not the case, right? Like I believe in your case it was drugs, not alcohol.
Yeah, I stopped drinking like 6 or 7 months before I stopped doing drugs. Like I was able to kick alcohol before I was able to kick getting high. Um, because that was my thing, man. And I think again, in a sense of me trying not to be preachy, I'm not like against people like getting high in like a recreational way. You know what I mean? If people can like smoke weed and they're cool with it, that's fine. But like I literally had no life outside of just like chasing my next high all the time. I couldn't like leave the house without wondering like when's the next time I can get high. I wasn't getting high anymore. Like I was just getting like normal, you know? So I wish I wish I could like drink or smoke or do whatever like in a recreational fun way. I just can't do that. And like being honest with myself is recognizing that, you know?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many different definitions, I guess, to sobriety, right? The idea of like, oh, that's a sobering thought. Like,
Yeah.
I've mentioned this many times before. My would be 1 year old daughter passed away a year ago on the 7th of June.
Oh
And
man.
she only lived for a week. But like that for me was a sobering experience in the sense that it really made me value my life and the time that I have with myself and my significant others so much more, right? So I think that sobriety
Yeah.
can come in so many different shades. It's not just booze or alcoholic. I mean, fuck gambling addiction, who knows, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, first off, man, I didn't know that, and I'm really sorry to hear that. That hits really close to home for me right now. I'm expecting a kid in November.
Congrats.
Um,
When?
and,
When in November?
I think like the date keeps changing, you know, when we go in to get more ultrasounds. So it's somewhere between like the second and the fourth, but
Cool.
before then, and I am like, I'm so excited. So I just I feel for you, man. That sounds absolutely devastating, and that's the hitting me on like a really personal level right now.
Well, I
Um,
appreciate that. It's being a dad is like the greatest thing ever. I do have the blessing of having other kids. I got two of my own. I got two stepkids. I'm sure
that's
that
great.
God will
Yeah.
bring another one to me in due course, but um, everyone has their challenges. Everyone has their vices, their choices. For me, that was
Yeah.
one of the biggest challenges that I ever faced, and it wasn't. I don't want to seem blasé about it because it's been a year. It's It's been a year, which is forever, but it's also not forever. I just happened to also go through a whole bunch of other hardships before I got to that point in my life. So there was kind of like almost like I was prepped. I had like my pre-workout before I got to that point. So that was a
Yeah.
little bit easier to handle and deal with than I would have if I hadn't endured other stuff beforehand. But let's not digress because I want to focus on
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
truth, this raw authenticity of yourself, like the desire to be truthful and honest, was that before or after, do you think, the addiction and stuff? Do you think that that was always there and then you dealt with this shit, then you had to be more real with yourself? Or talk to me about how it
I think
manifested in you.
I mean, that's a great question. I think just the fact that I was honest enough with myself that I knew that I had a problem that I was trying so hard to fix was sort of a window into me attempting to be authentic with myself, right? So I think you could probably argue that it's always been there, but it was very like masked and covered up. It was
Mm,
really interesting, like, you know, because I've made music my whole life. So like when I listened back to songs from 10, 11, 12 years ago, like when I was in the middle of it, like I would be writing songs all the time about like wishing I could stop and feeling out of control and stuff. And it's almost like, even though I was saying it out loud, like it was almost like it was coming from a subconscious place because I would only say that like in my songs. And then I would go on and do all the same shit over and over again. And that was a sobering thought. It was a
mm,
really, really interesting experience to hear that stuff back. And then I think once I was finally able to kick all my vices, I was really confronted with like how much I was using drugs and alcohol to just cover up every problem in my life. You know, like it was almost like a flood of everything that I was running away from all the time was just sort of like front of mind, right? Like I was just like, where's my life going? I was super depressed. I was like, I'm broke. Like all of this stuff that I was just masking with getting high and like not thinking about it anymore, was all of a sudden so present and so front of mind that I felt like again, not even in a conscious way, like you just need to be honest with yourself in that moment to be able to get through it.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that given that that was the only way that I was able to actually work through this and like move forward and stay sober, I think it sort of came, it might have always been there, but it almost just presented itself out of necessity.
Mhm. Were you heavy into your artistic and creative journey before sobriety, or do you feel like sobriety really helped kick that off?
No, I mean, I've been making music since I was a kid, and it was like a full time thing. So like part of the issue with being so deep into like getting high all the time was just like I was making music that was only cool if you were high. You know what I mean? Like it was just like
Mm.
it was super like weird and experimental and stuff, and like I thought it was the best. But it was really 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 bad. And it's funny. I've said to people since then. It's like, I think that might be part of the reason why got so addicted so easily to drugs, because it's like my favorite thing in the world is music, and it's like you're telling me like I can get high and I can do this, and the music is going to sound better and like be more fun. You know what I mean? It's just like it's
Yeah.
just like this is my favorite thing in the world, and this enhances it. Like that's the coolest thing to me. Um, so yeah, I used to tell people after I got sober, I sort of had this realization. It's like, nah, like music should get better if you're high. Like you shouldn't have to be high to like it, you know? Um,
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. What
yeah.
what was the moment when you said like, "This is out of hand. I need to deal with sobriety, or I need to like figure some shit out"?
I don't know that there was like a specific rock bottom moment. I think I was just like, I was looking at my bank account. I had like nothing to my name, and everything that came in, like I knew I was just going to spend it on drugs, and then just like try to find a way to, also pay rent at the same time, and that was getting like really shady. You know what I mean?
Mm,
It's weird. Like I tell my friends like once I got sober, I had this like mantra where it's like hustle like you have a drug habit, because it's like
mm.
if I'm still like working hard, like I need to get all this money so that I could get drugs and pay my rent. It's like if I'm not wasting that on drugs, like I can actually save some money up. You know what I mean? Um, I know that's probably like it's not like the most motivational thing to be like hustle like you have a drug habit, but that's like a that's like a personal mantra of mine. Um
But that's okay. That's like one of the things that I try to like tell people is that uh many people might have the same problem, but the journey to
yeah.
healing is going to be so vastly different for everyone. You know, you're going to say something like that to yourself, and for some reason, it's going to click with you based on your history and what you find funny or what you find genuine. And you'll be like, fuck, that makes the most sense. I remember when I really got a handle of my food and my diet, I watched a Jason Statham interview, and he was like, I don't eat after 7 o'clock, and then I fast until the morning. And then I was like, damn, that guy's good looking. I want to be like him. He's so rad. We have the same barber, obviously. I'm not going to eat. And it changed my life. And it was the dumbest
Yeah.
thing ever because so many other people would have clicked past that interview, but it had a market, impact on me. So who cares what it was as long as you're doing it, which ties into my next question, which is like, where does the drive come from? You know, like this is such an important thing for creatives, for artists, and also for healing and growth is that drive, is the tenacity to do it. Where does it come from for you?
I mean, for me, if the question is like where does the drive to make music and pursue like a creative lifestyle, that's just something that I feel like I cannot avoid. Like when I was in high school met a guy who was in a band that was like, I guess they were somewhat successful, but still not at they're probably like, I don't know. I don't want to call anyone out. Anyway, somewhat successful band. And he said to me when I was younger, he goes, if you can do anything else and be happy, then do it. And I've thought about that a million times since he said that to me, like the seemingly just simple, small statement. But it's like, I have tried so many times over the years to stop making music and pursue like what people would think of as a more stable and successful career and life path. and I just can't do it. Like this is the thing that I have dedicated my life to. On some levels, this is the only skill that I actually have, right? Like if I stopped right now, I would be starting at zero somewhere
Yeah.
else. And I can't do that. And I'm lucky enough to be at a point for the past, 5 years or so that I have been able to be a full-time musician. Like I don't have another job. I make music and I pay my bills with it, right? And that is the coolest thing, and the most stressful thing all at the same time. Because sometimes I just feel like I'm just putting a car together like while it's driving, and and it could like fall apart at any moment. Like it's weird. I tell people all the time when they ask about it. It's like I was less stressed about being a musician when nobody was listening to me. But like now that people are listening to me and like I have actual income from it, it is infinitely more stressful. Not on a creative level, but on a business level. It's like
Yeah.
how do you maintain this, and how do you stay true to yourself? Like how do you not just try to make a song that is going to do well, even if it doesn't mean anything to you? And luckily that's like a trap I've never fallen into, because luckily everyone who supports me or listens to me tells me all the time that the reason that they like the shit is because it's authentic, right? So I know that I can't
Mhm.
really stray from that. But man, that demon is there, man, to be like, just make a pop smash and like see how it does, even if you don't care about it. But it's a interesting dynamic.
Well, so you're being authentically yourself. You're following like what sounds like your life's passion and purpose, which is great. Not everyone,
Yeah.
most people don't even find that, let alone follow it. But back to my question: what about the tenacity or the willingness to push yourself to get through with the sobriety? Because there's so many people with whatever type of sobering thing that just fail and can't figure it out. What was it for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be so personal to each person that goes through it. Like I think a benefit for me that I say all the time was like my dad has been sober my entire life.
Mm,
He actually got sober when he was 21 years old, which is like kind of ironic, I feel like. Um and he's been stone sober my whole life, and I like watched him build a great life for himself and everything, and do everything he can to provide for me and my family, right? Like I respect that dude to no end. And I really think if there wasn't someone close to me in my life that was sober, I wouldn't even consider it as a possibility. I would have probably just thought like I need to get a handle on my shit. Not like, oh, not the best course of action is to totally cut all this shit out. I would have been like,
mm,
no, no, like I just need to get myself under control. So I think it's having a positive role model like that, really helped in a lot of ways. And then it's just recognizing that if I were to backslide and stop, like there's been plenty of people in my life that are just like, I don't know, man, like it's been so long since you've smoked weed or drank or done whatever. Um and you were young back then, like you could probably do it now. And I just know that that's not the case. And I think 9 times out of 10 people are being, you know, they don't realize that that's like a hurtful statement in any way. I think they're just
mm,
trying to be like, come on, man, have fun. Because the other thing that you realize when you're sober is like how much almost every social interaction, and especially interactions in the music industry, revolve around drugs and alcohol. It's crazy,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
you can't like go out with a group of your friends unless they just want to go to the bar, or they want to like anything like that. It's brutal, and you can't just be like, hey guys, let's go bowling, but no one drink. Like, and you can't say
yeah.
that. And I tell people, I never tell people not to drink, but or not to get high around me, but I also try to stay away from those situations as best I can, which is, again, is really hard in the music industry, right? Like if you're in
Mhm.
studios all the time, 9 times out of 10 there's going to be drugs in there. It's just a factor. Not only are there going to be drugs in there, but it's going to be encouraged. Like I think being involved in the music industry from a young age, or at least attempting to be from a young age, um, is another thing that really pushed me towards that lifestyle and just accepting it as like okay, and as something that um actually you should be doing as a musician, you know? It's a lot of like misconceptions there. So I think
Yeah.
the thing that keeps me going is just like I just know myself well enough at this point, and I'm comfortable with myself well enough at this point to know that that's not a road that I can go down and still keep control of myself. Um,
Yeah.
so it does tie back into just like the being authentic aspect of it is in a world where like everyone is trying to get you to have fun with them. I just need to know that like yeah, like maybe I can be in the room for a little bit, but I really can't hang out here and I definitely can't participate, you know? And I just have
It's
to like
such a
accept that.
it's such a bullshit thing too for someone else to say like you're not fun or you're not having fun because you're not doing this thing. Like who are you to
Yeah.
tell me what my limitations or
Yeah.
boundaries of fun are? I spoke last was it last year? No, I think it was this year with Jedward Keys. He's the director of editorial at Bandcamp. Fascinating guy, super smart. Like if you want to talk music with someone, it's this cat because he knows everything
Yeah.
about everything. But he also said the same thing. Like I am an alcoholic. I'm recovering. I'm sober now, and it's like I go to events all the time and it was like shows and drinks and drinks and shows. It's just in the industry. And I was like that too for the longest time. But then eventually along the way, I said, why are you here? Well, you're here because you fucking love live music. You love music. Okay, well, isn't that the
Yeah.
fun? Why do you need something else? And then you start to realize like the something else isn't the fun. It's a mask or it's it's a patch or a bandage for something else, and you just have to start to uncover it and then set your own personal boundaries. Like I have a lot of friends that I'm just going to grind and I'm going to stay up all night and I'm going to drink, I'll do drugs, whatever. I found for me, being an entrepreneur, a father of multiple kids, having multiple companies and endeavors, well, if I want to be in top performance, I got to treat myself like a top performing machine, which means good energy, good sleep, good exercise, good health, good tune ups. And so I'll be up at 5, 6 in the morning, and then I will be able to grind until 10, no problem. Maybe 11, I'll sleep, 6, 7 hours, and then I can come back at it. Somehow in there, I make sure that I'm a dad and a partner as well. But you have to do what's best for you. And it sounds like you did that. You found, some inspiration from your dad and you just stuck with it and you got through it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm doing my best and every day is a struggle, you know?
I love that.
So it's just you just gotta like one step at a time, you know what I mean? And here I
Yeah.
am 9 years later doing just fine. So and it does get like if on the off chance that anyone's listening to this like looking for hope into it, I know it's like the most bullshit thing to say it gets easier, but it really does. Like it's
Yeah.
not. I don't feel like I was in the first month or 2 months or 3 months of being sober where it was like I'm telling you, man, it was like hard to. I couldn't sleep. I didn't know what to do with myself. I'm dealing with all this shit like mentally at the same time for the first time in 10 years. It was like that was hard, but you start chipping away at that stuff and it's always going to be there in some way, but it's definitely not as hard as when you first stop. Like those first couple days and couple months are the biggest struggle, but I promise if you can get through it, it's better on the other side.
Absolutely. And I said good for you there because I think so many people try to either placate themselves or lie to themselves by saying like, I'm great now. The struggle doesn't stop, it just evolves. It's like
Yeah.
I use the video game metaphor where let's say you've got 30 levels. By the time you get to level 15, you look backwards, you're like, yo, those levels were so easy. Why is anyone complaining? But they weren't easy when you're
Right.
going through them. And the 15 levels ahead of you are not easier. In fact, they get harder, but you get more equipped along the way to be able to deal with harder and harder things. Ironically, by the time you get to level 15, you're halfway across. So why bother going back when it's just a short distance to go that way?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. We didn't come this far just to come this far. you know?
Yeah, man. Amen. Okay, well, I want to wrap it up with something that you did. Unfortunately, you did it to yourself. I really appreciate your time. I love how authentic you are. Every little note in the press releases about like, unapologetically honest voice in modern pop punk. Clearly, that's the case. Keep doing you, man, because
Thank
I
you.
feel like the only way to inspire people is just to be authentically yourself, and people will real knows real. They will see that, and you will help people and heal people just by living the way you live. So, with that said, what do you tell your kid? He's sitting here having this conversation with you. What would you say to him if the roles were reversed or as such?
If he was struggling, like had an addiction struggle,
Yeah, or
I would
just any struggle in general.
just, hey man, I just think I think life in general, addiction or not, is a series of challenges that you sort of have to contend with. And the best thing that you can do is just keep moving forward, you know? Um, it's it's a little more nebulous. If there was like a specific problem, I feel like I could probably get into the nuances of it. But at the end of the day, like I have been through enough shit and come out on the other side to know that like even when it feels like it's never ever ever gonna get better, like it can get better. you know?
Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, my dad always said, "Don't lie to me, and try your hardest." So for me, I tried is so important because you either do or you do not, and if you fail, that's okay because you're one step closer to that success.
Yeah. My dad always said you can't bullshit a bullshitter, and he was right. I would try to get shit over on him all the time, and he was like, I've been doing this and more since I was young, you know? Like he had a lock on this shit.
That's hilarious. Ray, thanks for being so real. I really appreciate it and your time, man.
Thank you, man. It was a very cool podcast, and I can tell that it's refreshing to come on with someone who has like a very uh laid out and intentional format, you know? It's you're doing great work.
Thank you, man. Value sessions. Hopefully, they're bringing value to not just us, but other people.
For sure.